Remember when a terrified little boy whispered 5 words that changed movies forever? Remember Bruce Willis sitting across from him, perfectly still, listening? Remember that ending, the one that made you rewind and start the whole thing over. Looking for every clue you missed? The Sixth Sense was the film nobody saw coming. It grossed $672.8 million worldwide on a $40 million budget, earned 6 Academy Award nominations, and turned an unknown director into the most talked about filmmaker in Hollywood. But none of it was supposed to happen this way. The original script was a serial killer movie. The lead actor was contractually forced into the role. The most famous line was nearly cut, and the director wrote the whole thing as a legal escape plan from a miserable studio contract. Today, we're counting down 20 weird facts you didn't know about The Sixth Sense. Stick around for number 1, because the actor who never wanted to be there earned more from this single film than from the entire Die Hard franchise combined. If you're new here, this is where we dig into the stories behind the movies you love, the ones the studios don't put on the poster. If you're into behind-the-scenes chaos, happy accidents, and Hollywood weirdness, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It helps more than you think. Number 20. Every instance of red in the film was planted by design. You remember the look of The Sixth Sense. Muted, washed out, almost colorless. That was not just an aesthetic preference, it was a system. Director M. Night Shyamalan established a deliberate color code from the very start of production, and the entire crew was bound by it. Red, in this film, means one thing: the real world has been touched by the world of the dead. Shyamalan explained in the DVD special features that the color signals anything in the real world that has been tainted by the other world. Every other color in the film was deliberately desaturated, and here is where it gets obsessive. If red appeared naturally in a scene where it was not supposed to signal the supernatural, the production design team physically removed it from the set. Now, go back and watch. The red church door where Cole seeks sanctuary. The red balloon floating up the staircase at the birthday party. Cole's red sweater before the locked room encounter. The red doorknob Malcolm can never open. Anna's red dress at the anniversary dinner. The red box containing Kira's VHS evidence. The red shawl draped over sleeping Anna during the twist reveal. Even Kira's mother wears a bright red dress at the funeral. She is the only mourner not in black. On rewatch, every flash of red becomes a roadmap, and that level of visual control required a broader cinematographic strategy designed to hide the truth in plain sight. Number 19. The film was shot entirely in chronological order. Most Hollywood films shoot completely out of sequence. Locations, actor availability, budget constraints, all of it dictates when scenes get filmed. The emotional arc of a performance gets assembled in the editing room, not on set. Shyamalan rejected that approach entirely. The Sixth Sense was filmed in chronological order, beginning to end. Principal photography ran approximately 8 weeks, from late September through mid-November 1998, entirely on location in Philadelphia. This was expensive. It was logistically complicated, and Shyamalan insisted on it anyway. The reason was the twist. For a film built around a revelation that recontextualizes every single scene, the actors needed to experience the story in sequence. They needed to carry the emotional weight of what had come before into every new moment. Actor Joel Osment told The Hollywood Reporter that having actual memories of going through earlier scenes in the story helped build the reality of the world. That is not something you can fake in post-production. Philadelphia itself became part of the equation. The city's brick, stone, and colonial architecture gave every frame a sense of old-world dread. Shyamalan chose locations that felt haunted before a single ghost appeared on screen. The production did not need to manufacture atmosphere. Philadelphia provided it naturally, and the specific locations they chose reveal just how deeply the city shaped the film's identity. Number 18. Michael Cera auditioned for Cole and had no idea. The movie was about dead people. Before Joel Osment landed the role that would earn him an Oscar nomination at age 11, several young actors auditioned for Cole Sear. One of them was actor Michael Cera. He was approximately 10 years old at the time, and he had absolutely no idea what the movie was about. Cera told Esquire in 2009 that the casting breakdown never mentioned ghosts, dead people, or anything supernatural. The sides he received gave no indication of the film's actual premise. So, when he performed the emotional penny scene, one of the most quietly devastating moments in the finished film, he played it, in his own words, very optimistically. Not with the haunted sadness the role demanded, but with the sunny earnestness of a kid who thought he was auditioning for a family drama. Actor Liam was reportedly offered the role before Osment, but turned it down. Think about that. 2 future stars stars were in the mix, and neither one connected with the material the way Shyamalan needed. The casting process reveals just how precarious the whole thing was. The Sixth Sense required a very specific kind of child actor, one who could carry the weight of an adult drama while remaining completely believable as a frightened 9-year-old. That search eventually led to one of the most remarkable auditions in modern film history, but that story comes later. Number 17. The ghost breath was real. Freezing air pumped onto sealed sets. You know the breath, that visible exhale that appears whenever a ghost is nearby. It is one of the most effective atmospheric details in the entire film. A simple visual cue that tells the audience something is wrong before anything happens. Turns out, it was completely real. Stan Winston's studio handled the prosthetic makeup for the ghost characters, the slashed wrists, the gunshot wounds, the hanging marks. But the cold breath was not digital. Sets were draped in plastic sheeting and pumped full of freezing air to create genuine visible breath from the actors. No CGI involved. Osment recalled filming in extreme cold while wearing pajamas or underwear, with limited time allowed in the environment before conditions became unsafe. For Kira's vomiting scene, actress Misha Barton held a mixture of cereals and bananas in her mouth and released it on cue, all in the same freezing conditions. She was a child, performing a physically demanding practical effect in a refrigerated set. Not exactly ideal. Shyamalan has said he would make the same choice today because of what practical cold does to the actors' performances. The discomfort was real, the shivering was real, and the fear in their eyes was at least partly genuine. That authenticity translated directly to the screen. The audience could feel the temperature drop, and the production's commitment to practical effects extended into areas far less visible than frozen breath. Number 16. I See Dead People. I see dead people. Was written in and removed. Across multiple drafts, 4 words. The most quoted line from the film, ranked number 44 on AFY's 100 Years 100 movie quotes. It defined a cultural moment, launched 1,000 parodies, and became shorthand for an entire genre of filmmaking. And it almost did not survive the writing process. Shyamalan wrote I See Dead People into the screenplay, then removed it, then wrote it back in, then removed it again. This happened across multiple drafts over the course of a year. The line was not treated as a centerpiece. It was treated as a question mark. Even during filming, nobody on set recognized it as anything special. Osment recalled in interviews that nobody was pointing to that line or singling it out for special attention. He said it did not really gather momentum until the film had been out for a while. On set, it was just another piece of dialogue. The crew moved on. No celebration, no sense that they had just captured something that would define the film's legacy. Its survival through the drafting process was not the result of anyone's confidence. It was persistence. Shyamalan kept circling back to it, unsure whether it worked, never fully committing to cutting it for good. And the tension around that line did not end with the script. In post-production, a key creative battle almost changed how audiences experienced the moment entirely. Number 15. Toni Colette wore a wig. The entire film, after auditioning with a shaved head actress, Toni Colette was in New York, auditioning for Martin Scorsese's Bringing Out the Dead when she read the Sixth Sense script. Her first reaction was skepticism. She assumed it would be a formulaic Hollywood action drama. She read it anyway. She was wrong. Colette arrived at her audition with a shaved head. Her reading was extraordinary, but Shyamalan had a problem. He loved her performance, but he was terrified of what Disney would think. He told interviewers he did not want to show the audition tape to the studio for fear they would be concerned with her appearance and reject her outright, so he worked around it. He pitched Colette to Disney simply as the woman from Muriel's Wedding. No tape, no photo, just the name of a well-regarded Australian film. Actor Bruce Willis sealed the deal. When Shyamalan mentioned Colette, Willis immediately said he loved Muriel's Wedding. That was enough. Colette was cast without Disney ever seeing the audition. She wore a wig throughout the entire film, reportedly borrowed from her role in Velvet Goldmine. Shyamalan noted wryly that they did not even have the wig secured when she was cast. Actress Marisa Tomei was among the other names considered for the role. Colette later said she never thought of it as a horror film at all. I just thought it was a beautiful spiritual story. Her Oscar-nominated performance came from an actress the studio never properly auditioned. Number 14. Donnie Wahlberg lost 43 pounds, slept in a park, and convinced everyone to strip his character, nearly naked. The opening scene of The Sixth Sense sets the tone for the entire film. A former patient breaks into Malcolm Crowe's home, confronts him, shoots him, and turns the gun on himself. The character of Vincent Gray appears on screen for only a few minutes, but actor Donnie Wahlberg treated it like the role of a lifetime. Wahlberg, then known primarily as a New Kids on the Block member, brought a vision nobody expected. The role was originally scripted with the character wearing goth clothing. Wahlberg rejected that completely. He lost 43 pounds in approximately 5 weeks through extreme method preparation. He fasted for days, ate only steamed cabbage and beet juice, refused to shower for weeks, and slept alone in a Philadelphia park. When he arrived on set, Shyamalan did not recognize him. Then, Wahlberg pushed further. He argued that if Vincent is coming to end his own suffering, there is no reason for him to be dressed. Willis supported the idea. The wardrobe was changed to a single pair of soiled underwear. His first take stunned the crew because he performed the entire scene without stopping at the scripted cut point. Shyamalan later said, Wahlberg set a standard of verisimilitude that permeated the whole production. The psychological toll was real. Wahlberg revealed it took 2 years to fully recover, including struggles with an eating disorder. That commitment from a supporting actor established the intensity for everything that followed. Number 13. Shyamalan demanded $1 million minimum bid and director attachment from every studio. Here is the thing about M. Night Shyamalan in 1997. He was nobody. His previous 2 films had grossed a combined $350,000. He was a young filmmaker from Philadelphia with no commercial track record and no leverage in the industry. And he walked into the biggest script sale of the year demanding terms that established directors would hesitate to ask for. When Shyamalan took the finished Sixth Sense screenplay to market through his agents at UTA, he set 2 non-negotiable conditions. The first was a $1 million minimum bid. The second was his permanent attachment as director. He told The Hollywood Reporter in 2019, "If they don't want to make it, I will shelve it." I wasn't bluffing. He was fully prepared to put the script in a drawer and walk away. Scripts were messengered simultaneously to every major studio. The response was immediate. A bidding war erupted among Columbia Pictures, DreamWorks, and New Line Cinema. The material was strong enough that the audacious terms from a virtual unknown were tolerated, though some executives considered them arrogant. But one studio executive moved faster than everyone else. He read the script, recognized its potential, and bought the rights without waiting for approval from his bosses. It was the right decision. It also cost him his career. The way this deal went down at Disney is one of the most painful stories in modern Hollywood business. Number 12. The Disney executive who greenlit the film got fired 1 month before it became a phenomenon. David Vogel was the president of production at Walt Disney Studios when the Sixth Sense script arrived. He read it and acted immediately, purchasing the rights for an estimated $2.25 million in 1997. The problem was simple and devastating. Vogel acted without corporate approval. Disney's higher-ups had directed him to focus on family-friendly content. A dark psychological thriller about a child who sees dead people was not what they had in mind. When leadership discovered the purchase, Vogel was asked to restructure his contract and relinquish presidential authority. He refused. He was fired in July 1999. Let that sink in. 1 month before The Sixth Sense opened and became one of the biggest cultural events of the decade, the executive who made it happen was out of a job. And it gets worse. Disney had already sold production rights to Spyglass Entertainment, retaining only distribution rights and 12.5% of box office receipts. When the film earned $672.8 million worldwide, Disney's share was roughly $90 million. Full ownership would have meant hundreds of millions more. The film was released through Buena Vista Pictures under the Hollywood Pictures banner, with producers Frank Marshall, Kathleen Kennedy, and Barry Mendel. The executive, whose instincts were right, lost his career. The studio that greenlit the project gave away most of the profits, and the unlikely business story of this film was only beginning. Number 11. No character other than Cole ever speaks to or acknowledges Malcolm. This is one of the most remarkable structural achievements in modern screenwriting. After the opening scene where Malcolm is shot, no character in the film besides Cole Sear ever directly addresses or acknowledges Malcolm Crowe. Not once. Not his wife. Not the parents in the waiting room. Not the waiter at the restaurant. Nobody. Show Malcolm around multiple characters. Shyamalan staged every single scene so that Anna's silence reads as marital coldness rather than the inability to perceive a ghost. The anniversary dinner, the moments at home, the quiet scenes of disconnection. All of it was choreographed to feel like a troubled marriage. This required extraordinarily precise blocking and staging from cinematographer Tak Fujimoto. Willis was consistently framed in isolation, subtly reinforcing his character's separation from the living world. The camera placed him at the edges of frames in separate compositions from other characters, never in genuine two-shots with anyone except Cole. Fujimoto's framing told the truth the whole time. The audience just did not know how to read it yet. On first viewing, this isolation reads as loneliness, as emotional distance, as a man drifting away from his life. On rewatch, it becomes the single most devastating detail in the entire film. Every scene is a ghost story hiding in plain sight. The production hid other physical clues throughout the film as well, and the most elaborate involved Willis's own hands. All right, we're at the halfway mark, and things are about to get wilder. Before we hit the top 10, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite Sixth Sense moment? Drop it in the comments. If you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Number 10. The car scene took 7 takes and left. Both actors in tears. You know the scene. Cole is in the back of the car. His mother is driving, and he tells her something her own deceased mother wanted her to know about a question she asked at the grave, about a dance recital she thought nobody had come to see. It is widely considered the emotional pinnacle of the entire film. It was also the hardest scene to shoot. Osment told Sci-Fi it was a technically tough day. It was raining. They were confined inside a car. The crew felt rushed. They completed 7 takes, and both actors felt they were not capturing the moment. The dialogue was scripted, but the emotional intensity required a kind of raw spontaneity that could not be manufactured on command. Shyamalan told Variety he felt he had the pieces, but was not 100% sure they had what they needed. After Shyamalan walked away, an assistant director reported that both Toni Colette and Osment were crying in the car. Not performing, crying. They were afraid they had not captured the scene. Shyamalan returned and told them, "We got it." The scene was filmed on Christian Street in Philadelphia, outside Shiloh Baptist Church. The most powerful scene in the film was held together by trust, not certainty. And the creative battles over the film's most iconic moments were far from over. Number 9. Frank Marshall fought to remove the camera. Zoom after the most famous line. After Cole whispers, "I see dead people," the camera does something subtle but critical. It slowly zooms toward Malcolm's face. On first viewing, it feels like a dramatic choice, a tightening of tension as the therapist absorbs what his patient has revealed. On rewatch, the zoom takes on an entirely different meaning. It is pointing directly at a dead man. Producer Frank Marshall wanted that zoom removed. He argued strenuously that it would telegraph the twist. If the camera draws attention to Malcolm's reaction at the exact moment Cole describes seeing the dead, Marshall feared audiences would connect the dots too early. The broader production team shared his anxiety. They experimented with different cuts and tested whether the scene could work without the zoom or even without the line itself. The debate consumed multiple editing sessions before anyone agreed on a direction. For a time, Shyamalan himself was uncertain whether keeping the shot was a risk worth taking. Test screenings proved them all wrong. Audiences processed the moment emotionally, not analytically. Nobody figured out the twist. The zoom stayed. The line became one of the most quoted in film history. What the production team feared would be a giveaway turned out to be one of the film's most powerful pieces of misdirection. But their paranoia about protecting the ending did not stop there. It extended to an even more absurd near disaster involving the soundtrack album. Number 8. The soundtrack nearly spoiled the entire twist with a track called Malcolm is Dead. This is where things get interesting. Composer James Newton Howard wrote a beautiful, haunting score for The Sixth Sense. The final track, the one that plays during the twist reveal, captures the devastation of Malcolm's realization with extraordinary emotional precision, and Howard, understandably, titled it descriptively. The original name of the track was Malcolm is Dead. Think about that. If the soundtrack album had been released with that title intact, anyone browsing CDs in a record store before seeing the film, or even during its theatrical run, would have had the entire ending spoiled by a track listing on the back of a jewel case. The title was changed before release, but the fact that it made it that far is a reminder of how close the twist came to being undone by something completely outside the film itself. Here is what makes it even more remarkable. There was no formal anti-spoiler strategy for The Sixth Sense. Osment revealed in a 2024 IndieWire interview that he did not remember any meeting, any talking to, or any press strategy about keeping the ending secret. The spoiler-free culture that surrounded the film was entirely organic. No social media existed. Nobody expected a blockbuster. The pre-internet world simply made leaks far less likely. The audience compact of voluntarily protecting the twist was unprecedented at that scale, and the near miss with the soundtrack title is just one of several hidden details embedded to protect it. Number 7. Willis learned to write right-handed to hide his missing wedding ring. Here is a detail that changes the way you watch every single scene with Bruce Willis. Willis is left-handed. He writes with his left hand. He draws with his left hand. Throughout the entire production of The Sixth Sense, he taught himself to write and draw with his right hand instead. The reason was the wedding ring. After Malcolm's death, Anna removes his ring. She holds it for the rest of the film, which means in every scene after the opening, Malcolm's left hand is bare. If Willis had written left-handed on camera, the audience would have seen his ringless finger in close-up. It might have registered consciously. It might have triggered the question. So Shyamalan and Willis eliminated the risk. Every writing scene, every drawing scene, Willis performs with his non-dominant hand. The slight awkwardness is invisible to audiences who were not looking for it, but it is there. The ring was not the only hidden detail. Malcolm also wears only variations of the same outfit he had on the night he was shot, consistent with the rule that ghosts appear as they were at death. He never physically opens a door after the opening scene. He slides into chairs rather than pulling them out. The clues were everywhere, embedded by Shyamalan with a precision that only reveals itself on repeat viewing. The level of hidden craft in this film's construction is remarkable, and it extended all the way into the scoring process. Number 6. James Newton Howard was not the original composer and scored the film in just 6 weeks. The score of The Sixth Sense is one of the most emotionally effective in modern cinema. It balances eerie, dissonant tension with moments of extraordinary tenderness, and it almost did not happen the way audiences know it. James Newton Howard was not originally attached to the project. After the initial composer departed during post-production, producer Kathleen Kennedy recommended Howard as a replacement. He came in for a meeting, watched the film's climax, and was immediately captivated. He agreed to score the entire film despite an extremely tight deadline, completing everything in approximately 6 weeks. 6 weeks for an entire orchestral score. That is a punishing timeline even for an experienced composer, and Howard delivered one of the defining works of his career under that pressure. The music became the emotional backbone of the twist, guiding audiences through the revelation without overwhelming it. The score had to walk an impossibly fine line between horror and heartbreak, and Howard found that balance under extraordinary time constraints. This collaboration launched one of the most enduring director-composer partnerships in modern Hollywood. Howard went on to score 8 films with Shyamalan. Editor Andrew Monsheen, who had also worked on Shyamalan's previous film Wide Awake, structured the finished film with meticulous attention to the twist's internal rules. His work earned Oscar, BAFTA, and ACE Eddie nominations. The final flashback montage was crafted in the editing room to maximize devastation, and it works because the score carries it. Number 5. Shyamalan wrote the script, specifically to escape his contract with Harvey Weinstein. Before The Sixth Sense, M. Night Shyamalan was trapped. He had a directing contract with Miramax. Shyamalan was creatively miserable, professionally stuck, and contractually bound to a studio that had no interest in letting him make the films he wanted to make. His agents found a loophole. Miramax controlled Shyamalan's directing rights, but not his writing. The contract said nothing about spec scripts, so Shyamalan did the only thing he could. He wrote his way out. The Sixth Sense was not just a creative breakthrough. It was a legal escape vehicle. Every draft, every revision, every late night spent rewriting was driven partly by the knowledge that this script was his only path to freedom. During the same period, he co-wrote Stuart Little and reportedly ghost-wrote portions of She's All That to support himself financially. He was a working writer hustling to survive while crafting what would become one of the most acclaimed screenplays of the 1990s. The desperation behind the film's creation adds a layer most audiences never see. This was not a filmmaker with the luxury of time and resources. This was a young man writing for his professional life, and it delivered the role to an actor who never wanted to be there in the first place. Number 4. Osment read the entire script 3 times before his audition at age 10. Shyamalan had a specific vision for Cole Sear: darker, more brooding, more visibly damaged. When he received Haley Joel Osment's video audition, he was apprehensive. He later described seeing this really sweet cherub, kind of beautiful blonde boy. That was not what he had pictured. The in-person audition changed everything. Osment, then 10 years old, arrived wearing a tie. He was the only child to do so. When Shyamalan asked if he had read his part, Osment's answer stopped the room. I read the script 3 times, not his scenes, the entire screenplay. 3 times through. His father, actor Joel Osment, had given him advice that redefined how the boy approached the material. He told his son, "This is a movie about communication, not a movie about ghosts." That single reframe shaped Osment's entire audition. He did not play fear. He played loneliness. He did not play horror. He played the unbearable weight of knowing something no one else can see. Shyamalan told the casting director afterward, "I don't know if I want to make the movie if it's not with that kid." Osment went on to earn an Academy Award nomination at age 11, one of the youngest nominees in history. The performance that defined a generation of moviegoers came from a child who understood the emotional core of the film better than most adults ever would. And the film he was performing in had once been a completely different movie. Number 3. The original script was a serial killer movie, and the twist did not exist until Draft 5. The Sixth Sense that audiences know, the quiet, haunted story of a boy and a ghost who does not know he is dead, did not exist for more than half of the screenplay's development. Shyamalan spent a full year writing the script, completing 10 complete drafts that transformed the story almost beyond recognition. In the first draft, Malcolm Crowe was not a child psychologist. He was a burnt-out crime scene photographer whose own son saw visions of the dead in his father's photographs. The concept drew directly from Shyamalan's love of The Silence of the Lambs. He told Yahoo Entertainment, originally Sixth Sense was some kind of version of a serial killer movie. One early scene described Malcolm standing in a school hallway, noticing a crayon design matching a symbol found on serial killer victims. The remaining 5 drafts focused entirely on executing that revelation, planting clues, establishing rules, ensuring every scene worked on 2 levels simultaneously. The seed image that launched the entire project was deceptively simple. A child at a wake, sitting on stairs, talking to no one. The film audiences remember was 5 drafts away from being a completely different movie, and the actor who made it all possible was forced into the role. Number 2. Bruce Willis only starred because a $17.5 million production disaster forced him into a 3-picture deal. In 1997, Bruce Willis was producing and starring in a romantic comedy called Broadway Brawler for Walt Disney Studios. Roughly 20 days into shooting, Willis fired the director, the cinematographer, and much of the crew. Disney shut down the entire production at a loss of approximately $17.5 million. To avoid a lawsuit, Willis agreed to a 3-picture deal at a reduced salary. The 3 films were Armageddon, The Sixth Sense, and The Kid. When The Sixth Sense script arrived through David Vogel's office, the expectation was that the action star would reject a small-budget psychological thriller from an unknown director. He would fulfill his obligation with something easier, something closer to his brand. Wrong. Willis read the script and was captivated. He told Reader's Digest, "When I read it, I was blown away by the fact that my character was dead. I didn't see it coming, and that's what made me want to do it." His agent initially resisted Shyamalan directing. The response from the production side was firm. Shyamalan was non-negotiable. Shyamalan has said he wrote the role with Willis specifically in mind, drawn by the emotional pathos beneath the action star exterior. The performance Willis delivered became one of the most restrained and celebrated of his career. He turned down his natural magnetism entirely, playing Malcolm as subdued, academic, and achingly vulnerable, and the financial outcome of this contractual obligation was nothing short of staggering. Number 1. The role Willis was forced to take earned him an estimated $114 million. Bruce Willis's upfront salary for The Sixth Sense was a reported $14 million, but the real number is what came after. Willis secured 17% of the film's worldwide box office gross plus home video participation, with the film earning $672.8 million worldwide and becoming the top-selling DVD of 2000, Willis's total compensation reached an estimated $114 million. That is the single most lucrative payday of Bruce Willis's entire career. It exceeds the combined earnings of the entire Die Hard franchise, from one film he was contractually obligated to make. The Sixth Sense opened at number 1 on August 6, 1999. Shyamalan's 29th birthday. It earned $26.7 million that first weekend. It held the top spot for 5 consecutive weekends. It became the highest-grossing horror film of all time, unadjusted, and held that record until It in 2017. Shyamalan recalled the primitive system of the era. In those days, you used to call a phone number as a filmmaker, and you would hear a recording where it would tell you what each movie grossed. Willis called him that first night. "We won Friday." They won every Friday for the next month. The biggest payday in Bruce Willis's career came from a role he was forced to take in a genre he had never worked in, directed by a filmmaker nobody had heard of, based on a script that started as a serial killer movie. The Sixth Sense was not supposed to become one of the most important films of the 1990s. It was written as an escape from a bad contract, cast through obligation and improvisation, and built on a twist that did not exist until the fifth draft. A Disney executive lost his job for buying it. The studio gave away most of the profits. The most famous line nearly got cut. 10 drafts, 6 Oscar nominations, $672.8 million, and a twist that audiences voluntarily protected in an era before anyone had to ask. If this video surprised you, drop your favorite fact in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves this movie as much as you do. And as always, I see dead people. We'll see you next time.